Ryan with Hukill's Plumbing and Excavation here again. What we've done here is we've dug out this whole entire yard area for a fire pit, concrete fire pit that's going to be going in. But let me start over here with what we had to do first. First, we had to locate out and expose sprinkler line and the wires and trace where they went. So we have a sprinkler valve here. We have two sprinkler lines here. But what we had found, you see that little pipe in the bottom right down there? Well, that's capped. Well, we didn't know that, of course, until we dug around. That's actually the main pressurized line that feeds up, but stopped here. So by locating the sprinkler wires with our locators, we were able to trace them around and then dig up and expose sprinkler lines and sprinkler wires along the route right here. More here, another valve. The rest of the lines come here. Another sprinkler valve and another sprinkler. What we did find though on this side, see that lower pipe? That is the main pressurized supply that's actually feeding this side and coming up here. So we had to dig and expose all of those, isolate the sprinklers, cut off any sprinklers and abandon the lines that would have been under concrete in here. And then out here, this is going to become a barked area with flowers and shrubs and plants. And so we exposed these sprinklers, figured out which valve they were on. So then those will be turned into supply lines for bubblers and for drip lines for any shrubs that are going to go in out here. So before we could even start digging all this out, we had to find and hand dig down to all of these sprinkler lines. It takes a lot of time. It's labor intensive to find this stuff, just to make sure you aren't ripping stuff out of the ground that you don't want to rip out of the ground. So first we do all that. Then we come in and we dug up all the old corrugated black line that was in here. What that line did, it actually came down, tied in here, but then it rose up almost on the surface of this ground, went over the top of all those sprinkler lines. That little line you see there is just an old abandoned line. We're not worried about that one. We'll cut that out of the way. But it actually went over the top of those lines and then kind of snaked down before it went down into the ground. So what we did, we put a T in here, tied into the existing line that comes from that downspout, connected to that downspout, ran this. This drain here is actually going to be a drain in the fire pit pad. So any water that comes off of these sidewalks, off of this area, off of this all slopes this way, is now going to go into that drain. What was happening in this yard before, it was pooling in this yard because of that rock wall and this concrete. The water would just stand in here like a little lake. So now we've installed a center drain that is going to drain through. And then we're going to end up putting a yard drain in here that will come over and tie in also. But see, we put a T right there that tied into that downspout. And then from here, right there, it actually dives down 5 feet and goes under this retaining wall. And so then the water just goes out into the lower part of the property. And with our little mini excavators that we use, those tracks actually compress down, and we go through, it goes down to 39 inches wide, and we can basically go through a 41-inch wide opening, 42-inch wide opening in a gate, and squeeze on through and come in these backyards and do all this small excavation work. So now we'll finish getting this dirt all backfilled around the pipes, move the dirt out we don't need, and then they can come in, form up the concrete, and put in the fire pit. But then we will also be bringing a gas line out, down that brick under the ground to supply this fire pit with a valve on the other side over there. And this will be supplied by a propane tank that is on the other side of the property, which gas comes to the other side of the house and comes up and through. And so that is a project. That all had to happen in order to put this fire pit in, locate, dig up, isolate, cut off, abandon, and reroute sprinkler lines. Make sure there's no other lines in the ground here that need to be done. Go ahead and replace the existing downspout lines that were the corrugated black plastic, and they were filled with about this much space in the very top where water was running over the inside of it because it couldn't flow out because the humps in it, and all the dirt and sand off the roofs. For this house is about 20 years old, for about 20 years. So the water had actually been boiling out of these downspouts and just flooding across the ground. So there we go, another little excavation project and downspout drain system by Hukill's Plumbing and Excavation.